All right, what is this? What is this BS? Right now, you've got the leader of the opposition walking around swearing himself in as the president of Venezuela and asking the military to come in and essentially enforce his rule, even though Maduro won the election. And the opposition, the US-backed, controlled opposition, just says, okay, we don't recognize the election, so therefore our guy, not Maduro. And now there's rumblings of people being arrested, not like people on the street, like actual politicians being arrested. I don't know how much truth there is to this. And these kinds of situations, there's a lot of rumors that fly around, and quite often a lot of them don't turn out true. Do you see the problem here? This is why we have a dictatorship of the proletariat. This is why revolution is not something you vote in. This is something the Bolivarian Revolution has not been able to understand since day one. Them and their fanboys with this stupid 21st century socialism bullshit. This doesn't work. Revolution is not something that you vote in. It's an authoritarian act against an authoritarian system. It's not a dinner party. It's not a goddamn election either. And there are so many times we have to go through this. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but this is first worldism. How many times does first worldism come up with some kind of BS to avoid doing revolution? Oh, look, we're gonna vote in and it's gonna work. And then we end up in this situation. Oh, we're gonna start voting in these progressives, and that's going to incentivize people to turn towards socialism because they're going to see it work. Meanwhile, you've got the idiots that are voting for them thinking that Cortez and Bernie Sanders are socialism. And what do you get? You get somebody who ends up giving you these nice soft reforms and then ends up supporting NATO and imperialist expansion. You fell for the same goddamn thing with Obama. And first worldism always comes up with some kind of BS excuse for not doing revolution because they know it's not going to happen. In the case of Venezuela, this could have happened had it been organized along those lines. But they didn't. They decided to go with this stupid social democratic garbage. They decided to keep the capitalist class around and just put restrictions on them. To keep them around and just say, here's a new set of rules you have to follow by, and if you don't produce, then we'll just take it over. Why was there a capitalist class to begin with? Why wasn't it seized? This is the same first worldist garbage that keeps telling us that it is real socialism even when you don't overthrow the system, which, that's kind of the definition. That's kind of the definition of communist revolution. I mean, I don't know if you just forgot that. But think about this. Oh, well, they're doing it the Venezuelan way, where they don't do revolution, and then Americans turn around and think that, oh, yeah, we can just do the same thing because we're totally the same as this country. Like, I don't know how many times I have to make the argument for third worldism. From day one, the Bolivarian, quote-unquote revolution set out to come up with some kind of democratic bourgeois legalism bullshit. Yeah, but if we vote everything into power, and we do this all through the bourgeois legal apparatus, well then they have to accept it as legitimate, right? Because we did it through democracy and all this stuff. And where are we now? This is effing imagine if in the Soviet Union, some guy opposed the entire system, walked up and declared himself the president of the Soviet Union, the premier, or the head of the central. Imagine that. That is unthinkable. You know why? Because he'd be dead. This is the stupidity of this social democratic garbage that is being passed off as revolution. This is not socialism. This is utopian bullshit that just keeps being proven to not work. We're looking at this right now. Venezuela is falling apart. They have only kept their freaking head barely above water by treading water and the generosity of China and Russia. This shouldn't be the case. Venezuela should be standing on its own, but it doesn't because they keep screwing things up. In the beginning, they were very lucky because they had oil money to support most of it. And then what happens when the global capitalist system decides to deliberately, yes, deliberately tank the oil price? Then what do you have? All this time should have been spent on getting away from Venezuela being a single, what's called a single crop economy, in this case being oil. But they didn't do that. They just kept pushing on with the stupid oil price. And then instead of putting in the necessary price controls for society, they had these stupid competing exchange rates for different situations. And then instead of fixing that and just having one unified exchange rate for everything, because they were getting scammed off of having multiple ones. I did a whole friggin' piece on that. They came out with a cryptocurrency. Really? That stupid cryptocurrency, which, by the way, give me one thing that stupid Petro actually accomplished. Show me one thing that's been of any value that stupid thing has done. And I think anybody who genuinely really believes in revolution has every right to be angry right now. Because Venezuela has done, I have been cheering them on since the beginning. I have supported them. Even criticize them when they weren't being revolutionary enough. I'm not against them. I am for them. And I don't want them going down this stupid path anymore, because look where it goes. It leads into this complete bullshit. Why does this guy exist? Why does this guy running around proclaiming himself to be the president of Venezuela exist? Why did the bourgeoisie have some kind of representative? This is, my God, even China doesn't even do this nonsense. And it blows my mind. There are so many people cheering for Venezuela. I mean, they have support from real socialists. People who aren't even socialists are declaring their support for Venezuela and their efforts. But what are they getting for it? They are getting this garbage. This should never have happened. This is utterly nonsense. This guy running around calling himself the president shouldn't even be alive. I'm not advocating murder because that would be illegal. I'm just saying, had this been the Soviet Union, he would not be alive, and I don't think there's anybody who would disagree with that. This is what you get when you try to push this goddamn reformist bullshit and you don't do revolution. This is what happens when you try to legislate socialism in. It doesn't work. And we have nothing but an entire history that tells us that it doesn't work. There's a reason why revolution is a violent act. And the only revolutions that have worked have been violent acts. Okay, the Tsar is dead. Batista, Chiang Kai-shek, these guys ran for their lives. But in Venezuela, socialist Venezuela, they're allowed to stand there in public and declare themselves the de facto leader of the country. What kind of nonsense is this? It is time to give up this liberal garbage of just trying to reform things. And see, Venezuela can do it, therefore the American people can do it. And look where it is. If you think this is bad, imagine what would happen if you tried to do it to the United States. Venezuela, Maduro, we are all pulling for you. We all want you to win. But you have to stop this nonsense. Stop this utter insistence upon on this democratic change bullshit, because that's literally not what revolution is. Revolution is an authoritarian act. It's not supposed to be kind. It's not supposed to be something that's done within the framework of something that won't allow it to happen. What kind of nonsense is this? You don't argue with imperialism saying, could you please not knock down our country? No, you don't do that with imperialism. You don't do that with the bourgeoisie either. You wouldn't politely ask the United States to leave. Why would you do that to your own ruling class? Enough of this. I'm sorry for flying off the handle on this, but this was perfectly predictable that it was going to happen. And this did not have to happen if you had just done a goddamned revolution like you are supposed to. And that's all I really have to say about that.